Well, I think what we can say is that this opens the door to possibly a third referendum, Laura, because under the 1998 Nouméa Accords, which took over from the 1988 Matignon Accords, which were introduced to try to bring peace to New Caledonia after years of civil war, the reasoning there was that after 20 years of the Nouméa Accords, there would be a possibility for a vote for independence. Now, that first vote took place 20 years after in 2018. And as you said, 56.7% of New Caledonians voted in favor of independence, voted in favor of staying part of France back then. That meant that there had to be a second referendum, because it's only if the people of New Caledonia vote in favor of independence that there will be no further referendum. So as they voted to remain part of France back in 2018, a second referendum has taken place. Now, that referendum has also come out in favor of remaining part of France, which means that there could be a third referendum within the next couple of years to see whether or not that vote will be confirmed for a third time. That has opened the door to a lot of discussions between those in favor of remaining part of France, saying, well, look, we've had two referendum results in favor of remaining part of France. There's no reason to have a third referendum. And those who would like independence saying, well, look, fewer people voted in favour of independence this time round, 2% less, maybe more even, once the definitive result comes out. Therefore, that means that we have the right to ask for a third referendum. So the split between those who want to remain part of France and those who don't, I'm afraid to say, looks like it's going to remain intact.
And what about the view from Paris, Philip? Because we know that France awards New Caledonia a pretty hefty subsidy every year, 1.4 billion euros. Just how important is this territory to France?
Well, the French President Emmanuel Macron was due to speak about an hour ago. That has been now delayed because the French president doesn't want to say anything until after the definitive result has been declared. But if you look back to what he said in 2018 after the first vote, also decided to remain part of France. He spoke about how proud he was that New Caledonia is part of France. Well, yes, France gives 1.5 billion euros a year in subsidies to New Caledonia. It also has the world's sixth largest supply of nickel, which is very important as a resource for France. And France wants to maintain its influence in the South Pacific. It will be the only EU country to have a territory over there once Brexit is confirmed and terminated at the end of this year. So France is keen to remain having an influence in the South Pacific, and that is why it would like New Caledonia to remain part of France. Those are three reasons. But within New Caledonia itself, as I was saying before, there is a split between those who would like to remain part of France, basically living in the south of the island where there is more prosperity, those who don't want to remain part of France, mostly the native Kanak population, and more in the north of the island. So this division, unfortunately, even if there is another independence referendum, maybe in a couple of years' time, I find it hard to believe that there will be a consolidated position and people will accept either remaining part of France or trying again to vote for independence.
Philip, thank you very much. Philip Tell there.